All right, everybody, welcome to this first podcast we're doing. I am joined by Joshua. Joshua is a league owner on the PS5. We do World of Outlaws, NASCAR racing. Josh, I believe it's Monday, Tuesday, and
Monday,
when.
Tuesday for the NASCAR, and Wednesday for World of Outlaws. Yep.
So it's a full schedule. Right before we went live, Josh and I were talking about how many people there are. There's 30 some people in the league for for
Right.
NASCAR, and then we got what 18 for the World of Outlaws. Correct.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. NASCAR, I believe at the moment, sitting at 32. World of Outlaws is sitting at 18. Yep.
So that's a lot of guys and gal. We have a gal in there, and
Mm-hmm.
she's fast. I mean, she don't mess around. She whooped me at Eldora on what was that, Wednesday? I think it was.
Yes, it was.
But getting on to the subject at hand here, Joshua, you know, you and I, we've only been racing together a couple of weeks now. But, you know, racing side by side last night, battling. Obviously, we're both pretty good drivers. The world of sim racing versus the world of real racing. And when we say real racing, you know, what you see on TV, the danger, the expenses. When you think of sim racers, Joshua, do you think that sim racers are real racers? Like, do we actually compete at a high level, or are we real racers?
I mean, personally, I would say definitely yes for sure. Because I mean, we got guys that are so passionate about how well they run, and how well they can take care of their car and what they can do at the end of the night. No matter if it's racing a race that's 30 laps or a race that's 200 laps, we have a lot of passion and we go out to compete at a high level, even though it's on a game. I mean, you still have the drive to go and do it, and the time to put in for practicing and making sure you know exactly what to do during the race and stuff like that. So, I mean, definitely for sure, I would definitely say yes.
One thing about the NASCAR side of it, when you do a long race, you know, you got the tire wear, you have um, the track not necessarily changing, but your car changes through because of the tire wear. So you have to adjust
Hmm.
wedge or tire wear for the long run. So realistically, you know, in those long races, those long NASCAR races, we ain't just the drivers. We're also crew chiefing. So we're double
Hmm.
downing. I don't know about you, but I always adjust tape, my wedge, tires. How long do you practice, and do you change all those throughout a race too?
So when it comes down to practicing, I lately I have been practicing a lot just because personally with me, like my NASCAR league that I have, again, there's a lot of guys, so you want to make sure you can go out and run out front and do what you can to keep yourself out front. So I do like to practice NASCAR. I will practice that usually on a day that I'm not racing or not doing anything. When it comes to adjustment wise, yes, 100%. I personally do feel that in that game specifically, even in World of Outlaws, we can look at that as well. The tracks do change during the time that the cars are on it. I mean, the World of Outlaws, you see the ruts, you feel the cushion push-ups, stuff
Yep.
like that. And when it comes to the NASCAR side, you see the track rubber in more. The cars don't handle as much, even when you get throw new tires on it. It tightens up or it loosens up or whatever the case may be, for sure. I definitely will change wedge on it. I would definitely do tape. I'd take tape off, put tape on. The only thing I truly have not messed with much is the tires. And it's usually there's one or two tracks I will mess with tires. Everywhere else I keep it the same because personally for me and what I've experienced at those tracks and racing, there a lot is the fact that when you change the tire wear, the tires, it only affects the car short term. It's a short term setup. So if you take, let's say, 2 pounds out of all four tires just for the hell of it, number one, they're going to wear faster because now
Mm-hmm.
they're gripping the track more.
Yep.
And number two, you're Now, car that's set up for at least a medium to long run is now going to be a super short run car. And once that fall off happens, it's actually going to hurt you more than help you, unless you get a caution 10 laps, 5 laps into the run. Then you can go back, reset, and do what you got to do. Or if you're coming for like a shootout or a green white checkered, definitely tire pressure could be something that would help in that situation.
You know what you're saying about all how all of that varies is, and this is going to segue into what I want to bring up next. Um, People that practice a lot are your guys that are going to run up front. You know, you go to like last night we ran some races at Las Vegas and Watkins Glen.
Hmm.
Guys that just hop on, and sometimes you can't help it. You know, you get off work at a certain time. Hey, I just got home, grab something to eat, and you hop on. But guys that are able to practice a lot are the guys that are going to run up front. So guys that are and gal drivers that are
Hmm.
able to do a lot of that fine tuning are the ones that are going to run up front, and that's where it kind of comes together with real life, where you know teams ain't allowed to practice anymore on track. You know that stopped what 15, 20 years ago almost now,
Yes. Yep.
and
Hmm.
now they use sim racing. Now they're not using the what we're on here. They're using actual iRacing, which
Yes.
what I will say this right now. Here in probably about a year, I'm going to be switching over to that.
Hmm.
But it's still sim racing. You
Hmm.
know, all of your big time teams are using sim racing, but it's those big time teams that are able to practice that you are seeing run up front. So, you know, sim racing, if people like Hendrick, Childress, Gibbs, or even if you want to go Formula One, you know, you got Haas and you got Ferrari or any of the highest levels, they're all using sim racing. So that's where my discussion point would come in of yes, absolutely sim racing is real racing. It's gotten to the point where it's so realistic. I mean, right now you see this car right here. This is the car on the game that Josh and I use. Yeah, in the World of Outlaws, this is the late model, and they're just so realistic. But you know, on the side of it to where if pro teams are using it, obviously it's real.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, you could tell because like people are spending thousands upon thousands to get into these race simulators, and you see it a lot with COVID when everything happened with COVID, and all the teams, all the drivers, they went and bought racing simulators. They were simulating every damn day. They were in iRacing. They were doing events on iRacing,
Hmm.
whatever they could to keep themselves in the racing mood and make sure they were practicing for something to come. So I mean, regardless what anyone thinks, the sim racing and the real life racing is so alike in many ways. And there's really the only difference is you're hopping in a race car, you're sitting in the car with the temperatures and so on and so forth. But sim racing, you could be sitting right in your bedroom and you're just going at it the best that you could.
And you think about some of the top guys that are in NASCAR. You know, you got William Byron, you got TJ Majors. TJ's not a driver, but you know
Hmm.
he was discovered by Dale Jr. on iRacing. And
Hmm.
you've got a lot of drivers. You know, you watch the movie Gran Turismo. True story
Hmm.
about a kid that was playing Gran Turismo, got noticed, and got a real racing deal. A lot of people start, and for granted, you know, Josh Berry, William Byron, those guys, they were already racing, you know, late models and whatnot. But it was that iRacing that really got them discovered on to go to that next level. So, I mean, there is the obvious differences. You know, like you brought up the heat. You know,
Hmm.
even in these dirt cars, I've sat in race cars before and got to go out in hot lap cars. It's hot. It is
Hmm.
hot in a race car. You know, inside of a cup car, it could get to 130 degrees, and I don't care what they're wearing. They are sweaty. They'll lose 10 pounds in a race. Um,
Yeah, I mean to
I'm reading
capitalize
a comment here.
to
Sorry.
capitalize on top of that. No, you're good. To capitalize on top of that, I mean, like they spent so much money to like keep these drivers cool. You have the air boxes, you have the cool suits. They're doing whatever they can to make sure that they can keep that driver as comfortable as possible during that whole race. I mean, also you got to look at it too. The G forces of the cars pulling you. You're running 150, 160, 170 plus miles an hour at most of these tracks,
Mm-hmm.
and you're fighting your body in the car and the gravity is that's pulling you the whole time. So I mean, that definitely for sure it does take a strain on all those drivers that are sitting in those cars.
Yeah, anybody who wants to say that this podcast or this discussion is about saying that we are saying we are just like an actual NASCAR driver or a real life late model driver, that's not it at all. I mean,
No,
the
not the case.
difference is so night and day. To say it's night and day is ridiculous. We don't
Mhm.
have the danger. We hit the wall head on at 190. We hit a button and we reset the car. We
Exactly,
don't have the
100%.
heat. We ain't spending tens
Hmm.
of thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars. This car that's spinning around the screen right now, just for the car to get out there, not even be competitive. Just the car alone to throw an engine in there, you're looking $80,000 minimum. That's if you go and buy a used one. For I don't want to sound like I know more than what I do because but I'm guessing somebody like Bobby Pierce's car, or if you want to talk sprint car, like Brad Sweet's car, what Casey Kane
Hmm.
spends on his. You're talking upwards of 150, $160,000, easy. And then
$100%.
yeah, we pay for a PlayStation Plus. We pay for the game. Like my wheel setup, I run a Thrustmaster T150. I think I paid, I want to say 250 for this thing. I
Hmm.
bought the TV that I use. I bought at a garage sale for $25 and the PS5. I've got a total wrapped up right here, less than a grand. You
Hmm.
can't even race an RC car for that much.
No, you cannot. No, I mean just like me, my setup. I mean, I bought a G923 when they first came out, so we're talking a year and a half, 2 years ago now. And I mean, I love that damn thing. And I think that brand new was roughly $400 if I remember correctly. So you got
Hmm.
that, the PS5, and the TV. Maybe a little more over a grand. I mean, it's nothing compared to what everyone else has to go through to get a damn car to the racetrack. I mean, just to throw a car in a hauler and go. And if you're traveling long distances, I mean, gas and stuff like that, it just goes to the roof. I'm happy I don't have to do that. I can enjoy it from the comfort of my own house, of my own room. I'm excited to do that, but also it's just like I give all those guys props that throw all that type of crazy amount of money into making those cars go around.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't want to be a person that acts like he knows more than he does. So if I'm
Mm,
wrong, anybody could comment on it or you can let me know. But I'm guessing for to run a late model in the World of Outlaws series, or one of these higher series, or the World of Outlaws high limits, whatever. I'm guessing total for the year is probably about what 1.5, 1.7 million dollars for the entire year. I'm
yeah,
guessing.
I don't know the exact number, but it's definitely something extraneous like that for sure. I mean, especially traveling all over the U.S. to even begin with. Um, it's just another task on its own. So you're spending all the gas for that on the crew, on your driver that's driving your hauler, especially like Brad Sweet's hauler. They have someone driving that damn thing 24/7. I
Yep.
mean, all the money that they're forking out to keep everyone going. Also, again, in Brad Sweet's situation, he's getting paid by Casey Kane, the sponsors, everything else. It's a lot of damn money. It's nothing to take for granted. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And that's going to segue us into our next discussion. But bottom line is, yeah, sim racers, sim racing, it's real racing. racing cars out there on the track. We're side by side going into corners, in the World of Outlaws game, and especially for us guys that are on the wheel. You know,
Hmm.
we're sliding into the corners at 150 mile an hour. I think that's what we were hitting at Eldora. Dirt Slinger and I, we
Hmm.
went 3 or 4 laps side by side, throwing our cars into these corners at Eldora, and we touched one time. I mean, that right there, that's not just talent. That's also having respect, and we have to show the respect just like they do in real life. We're competing. We want to win. In the words of Kyle Busch,
Hmm.
I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. And I think that's the way a lot of us are. So, it is competitive. And if you've never watched a competitive sim, go on to Joshua's Twitch or go on to my YouTube channel. You just search it and you will see it is so competitive that there's times where races are won by less than a tenth. I've actually won a league race once where we tied, and I don't know. I have no idea why it was that it gave the win to me. I don't know if maybe laps led or something. I have no idea. All I give a shit about is that I got the win. But go ahead and check out some sim racing. Josh, I'll let you have the finishing thoughts on this subject of is sim racing real racing, but my version of it, absolutely. Just because we're not out there, sweating our asses off, spending thousands and thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars does not mean we're not real racing. To say that we are not real racing and we're not real actual, and I hate doing this, but I'll do quotation marks, racers
Hmm.
would be like somebody that races in the Cup Series or something, saying and looking at somebody that races, let's say the a high level go kart league, and saying they're not a real racer. That's just absurd. So, Josh, I'm going to let you have the last word, and we will segue into the next topic.
All right, but yeah, no, I 100% agree. Sim racing it's definitely like real racing to me. Um, it always has and always will be. I've always grew up on racing games and stuff like that. If I'm doing something, if my system's on, it's more than likely a racing game. It's not just that, I've grown fond of all different types of sports, no matter if it's the dirt racing or if it's the NASCAR series and stuff like that. I've always felt the drive to go watch it. I'm just like, maybe I'll be like that one day, Maybe I'll be able to chase my dream and do something like that. And as of right now, sim racing is the closest thing for me, and I would never take that for granted. Very, very pleased with what I have in life up to this point, and very pleased I can do this on a nightly basis if I really wanted to. So, yeah, it's definitely something. The the sim community's got a big community, number one to begin with, and it's nice that guys want to be competitive and go out and race each other with respect. I mean, it's on my YouTube, it's on your YouTube. You can see just like us last night at Las Vegas when we were racing for your tryout. I mean, we were side by side. We didn't touch each other, and we raced each other right to the end. I mean, we ended stage two, I think, tied. We came
Yeah,
across the line at the same time. So it's just like it's a lot of fun. We enjoy it. I'm sure, of course, guys that do it on real tracks, they love it. They enjoy it. That's why they go back. And we love and we enjoy what we do. That's why we keep going back.
yeah. I strongly suggest anybody that likes a good NASCAR race suggest you go back and watch that NASCAR tryout because that was a blast. But segueing into our next discussion, and I don't want this to go on so long. That's why I'm segueing in already because this is just a tryout to try podcasting. But you were talking about Brad Sweet and sprint car racing. If you didn't hear the news, which if you're a dirt fan, you have heard the news, Brad Sweet is no longer an outlaw driver. He owns, with Kyle Larson, owns the High Limit Sprint Car Series, and he is full time High Limit now. I have been around racing since I was 2 years old, and I have never witnessed. Not even SRX. SRX, in case you haven't heard, is done, at least for now.
Hmm.
But SRX did not even get as big as what High Limit is right now, as fast as they did. And I think something happened to Joshua, something with a network error. So hopefully y'all can still hear me. So I guess Joshua has a network error going. Um, that's kind of odd. I don't know. Huh. All right. Well, we'll keep this going. But the thing about it is, yep, Joshua left the party. I don't know what happened, bro. But High Limit didn't have as many huge names. They had some pretty decent names with them, and they soared so high in just the first year. This was their first year. They're going on year 2, I believe. But if you look at how many drivers they have and all the tracks, I think that they can overtake World of Outlaws within, I would say, probably 3 years. Um, I'm gonna try to get. I don't know what happened because I really want him in here. I don't know what happened with Josh. If I talk too much, then I start getting all lightheaded and whatnot. And we don't want that happening. So we'll try to get him in here. So we are going to leave this party. Hold on, just hold on. We're going to keep this discussion going here. So we're going to leave this party. Okay, so we sent Josh. Hopefully, okay, you still there, Josh?
I'm still here.
I don't know what happened there. Some technical difficulties on the first podcast.
Yeah.
All right. So I was just saying, what I was saying was, I've never seen a series get as big as what High Limit has. Not even SRX. SRX got as big as they did because they paid high end names to come in. Where with High Limit, they're just putting on awesome shows, awesome racing. What are your thoughts on the possibility of High Limit, where they're at now, going above World of Outlaws?
Well, with the backing of probably arguably one of the biggest sprint car racers ever, which is Brad Sweet. Um, I mean, Donnie Schatz used to be the man back in the day, but Sweet, yeah, with the backing of him and also Larson, Kyle Larson is another one that's playing big because since he had the suspension years back, he started going to all the dirt tracks and he started accumulating so many dirt car fans
Yep.
that it blew apart anything. He was out winning races. He was out and he wasn't doing it dirty. He was driving clean. He was using his own equipment. He was just out there every weekend, just like a normal person that loves the sport does. And he's just out there giving it all. And with those two having this series backed up the way it is, it would not surprise me at all if within a year or two it overtakes World of Outlaws.
Yeah, right now I'm trying to pull up all the drivers um, that High Limit has.
Hmm.
And of course, you got to read a full article before you can get to anything like that. It's oh my gosh.
Always.
But you got Rico Abreu, who is my
Hmm.
favorite sprint car driver. You got him, Larson, Sweet, Sunshine. I think, right? I think
I
I
believe
believe he
so.
did. But you've got so many drivers, and you have drivers that were on a bit of a lower level that are
Hmm.
now signing with High Limit that are getting extra funding because they're going to High Limit. You look at who is still at the World of Outlaws. I think Schatz will always stick with Outlaws. I mean, I don't know how many years he has left. I don't
Hmm.
even know his age. But I think you got drivers that are going to be die-hard World of Outlaws. But with the tracks that World of Outlaws are contracted with, I'm sure World of Outlaws are probably putting in stipulations now. Hey, you can't have high limit. I don't know if that's true. I could be just talking some stupid shit right now.
Yeah.
But let's say high limit goes to every single track that World of Outlaws doesn't. That is going to bring in more fan base to them. Which is going to allow these bigger tracks like Knoxville, Eldora, some of these other tracks to say, you know what, we want High Limit. We don't want World of Outlaws. I actually see that happening here in probably 3 years.
Hmm.
They're
Definitely.
they're they're getting to be so big so fast, and I don't want to say they're getting too big for their bridges too fast because, like you
Hmm.
said, with Kyle Larson in there, the backing of Larson, the backing of Brad Sweet. Is Casey Kane going High Limit too? Since
That is a good question. I have not heard anything, but since Sweet's over there, I gotta say yes. I would definitely say for sure yes, because I mean, Casey's gonna follow Brad wherever Brad needs to be, because Brad's that type of driver. Casey loves to have him as a driver. He will not let him go at all. So I'm sure Casey's gonna follow his way over. And again, Casey's got the NASCAR background, so he's got more following him over, and they're gonna pull a lot of stuff over there. The only thing I do see that the World of Outlaws has over those guys is that the World of Outlaws has the big block mods in their side too. They
yep,
have the supers, and they have the UMPs, and they keep it. They have multiple different series right now around over there. So I see possibly the sprint card side might go away, but then again, it's just like you never know. You never know how fast and stuff will change, how quickly something can change. So it's going to be interesting to watch for sure. Um, I know they actually added High Limits. Actually added a race up by me. We actually have two races up here, which is the first. So that's going to be interesting to watch because over here the short track Super Series is big. They had the big block mods, which is their go-tos. So it's gonna be cool seeing the sprints come up for the high limits. I definitely will be there to watch those.
well, the High Limit. I live about an hour south of Eagle Raceway,
Hmm.
and when High Limit was there, I think it was the biggest crowd they ever had, from what I understood. I think that's what my buddy went there, and
Hmm.
I think that's what he said. I might possibly be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. It was the biggest crowd Eagle Raceway has ever had. And if you've ever seen Eagle Raceway, it is huge. Like the grand, I don't know the number, but you can fit an ass load of people at Eagle Raceway. But like I said, I was trying to pull up the drivers that signed for High Limit 2024.
Hmm.
Could you imagine if Schuhart, Gravel, and I'm just pulling out some names here, but like a couple other drivers from World of Outlaws. It would be like, who does Outlaws have left? After that, who would they have left to carry the flagship over there? I don't, because there was what, four drivers that actually ran for the championship, ran all the races in the championship in the Outlaws, right? You had Schuhart, Brad Sweet, Gravel, and who was the fourth? I can't remember who the fourth was.
Oh, I don't remember. Let me brainstorm.
Yeah, under pressure, I can't think of crap either. But if I remember right, there was only four drivers, like when the season was half over, that were actually legitimate going for the championship. So if you got Schuhart and you get Gravel out of there to run high limit, it's like, who does
Carson
the out?
McAdoo. That's who we left out.
Macedo, Carson Macedo.
Macedo. Oh,
Yeah,
John.
Macedo.
Jesus. Yeah.
It's all right. But yeah, Carson Macedo. How could I forget about him? Dude. Speaking of him, did you see his wreck at Knoxville this year?
um, yes. Yes, I
Good.
did. 3 and 4. Yep.
Yeah, that's probably one of the hardest I've ever seen. Like that was rough. But if you even get just Macedo and Schuhart out of there, and maybe Gravel stays with the Outlaws, that's not enough. You are like, I'm not going to say the Outlaws would be done. They'd still be putting on a good show, but you really ain't
Mm-hmm.
going to have anybody to carry that flagship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be like back in the '80s if Steve and Mark Kinzer left, and maybe Swindell left. It'd be like we got like two guys left, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think if High Limits keeps doing what they're doing, they could definitely overtake World of Outlaws. It would take a few years. I mean, it ain't going to happen this year. It ain't going to happen next year. But if they can get three of those guys away, and I don't even know if that's what they're shooting for. I think they're just shooting to put on a good show.
Mm-hmm.
But their payouts are great. World of Outlaws, not Ken Schrader, Kenny Wallace did a show on his YouTube channel one time breaking down, and I suggest everybody going over there and checking out that video of how much the World of Outlaw drivers make. They don't make shit. Like, you got those top four that they make pretty good money, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody else, they don't make shit for money at all.
And some of those guys don't have big sponsors. That's whatever they have coming right out of their pocket into their cars.
Yep.
Um, and it definitely you could tell the guys that are the ones that have been grinding every single week to make sure they can make the race because they don't have a huge sponsor behind them. They don't have a team owner behind them. It's just them. You see the heart in those guys' eyes. I mean, you see every single time they show up to the racetrack.
Oh yeah. Well, like and I was talking about Schuhart. Schuhart won that $1 million race,
Yep.
and that team is not a huge team. That is not even close to what Brad Sweet or even Gravel
Hmm.
or Macedo have. Like that team that Schuhart races for. Who's the other guy in that? I can't remember his name. Gosh, I should have researched more before this, but like that team when they won that $1 million, that's probably the most money that team sees in probably half a season because they pay their entry fee. It's them, it's the car, the driver, and I think two crew members. Yeah, you just have to go watch the Kenny Wallace video on it, but there's a reason why there's only four drivers that legitimately go for the championship now in the World of Outlaws is because the payout ain't crap. High limit, you go and you race, you get treated really nicely. That their payout system is so much better.
I think most of their races are like 50,000 to win. Like each fucking race is, excuse my language, each
No, you're
race is
fine.
50,000 to win.
Yeah, that the Outlaws they ain't gonna compete with that. They're the Outlaws. The World of Outlaws is like any other company. The bigger they
Hmm.
get, the greedier they get, and then they end up paying the price for it in the end. And I think here in the next probably, like I said, three. I don't want to beat a dead horse with a stick, but I think in the next 3 years,
Hmm.
we can definitely see World of Outlaws scrambling for drivers because everybody's going to want to go to high limit, and that could be the end of the sprint car series. I think the brand World of Outlaws is going to be around for a very long time. But if they continue treating their drivers the way they treat their drivers, they're not going to have a sprint car division that's worth a shit anymore.
Oh, I definitely do agree. I mean, The big thing too, I gotta think about because I just saw it when I just googled High Limits. They got Flow Racing as a sponsor
Yes.
now, so
Hmm.
that's right there a big big sponsor. And who were they doing all the shows and stuff for? World of Outlaws. So it's just like, are they gonna pull away? Are they gonna stay? What's going on? Like that's now what I'm curious on.
Well, Flow Racing goes with the fans. Flow
Yes.
Racing, they are huge. Like, I don't do any TV subscriptions for myself. For my fiance, she has her stuff.
Hmm.
I would actually subscribe though to Flow Racing. I watch their Chili Bowl coverage, and their coverage is phenomenal. So Flow Racing, if they would, if well, they are covering High Limit, but if they would cover a couple more really nice events, and I think it's cheap. I think it's like what $130 a year,
Hmm.
and you get nonstop racing. That's like Speed Channel back in the day. 130 bucks all day, man, all day long. I'd pay that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's one of my main ones is Flow Racing. I make sure I get that every single season. I started like 2 years ago, and I'm just like, man, I love it. I love the amount of different racing you can see from the wheel and modifieds for NASCAR to dirt big block modifieds to the sprint cars series and stuff like that. It's cool to see the variety and the amount and all the coverage they have on it.
yeah, Dakota, I agree. I'm a Speed Channel also. Josh, I
Hmm.
don't know how old you are, but back in the early 2000s, we had Speed Channel, and oh, you
Yeah.
had Dave Despain's
Yep.
podcast before podcast was really cool.
Hmm.
Just what I know, Flow Racing shares their profits with the tracks they go to. Dirt Vision does not, from what. So yeah, if Flow Racing is sharing their profits with the track, you better believe it that these track promoters, they're going to be all over wanting Flow Racing to come in. So is Dirt Vision now? Are they the ones that are going to be covering World of Outlaws?
I think so. Yes, I think it's going to be Dirt Vision,
So,
which I realized Dirt Vision is actually in the game as
mm-hmm.
sponsors. So I think they signed on with Dirt Vision just before High Limit really caught fire. And then Flow was just like, we're gonna go cover High Limit now.
I tell you what, it is a breath of fresh air knowing that there are companies out there that actually
Hmm.
care about the fans, care about the customers, giving them what they want, and not just the customers. The I don't see the track being the customer. They're kind of a partner, but
Hmm.
if you're partnering up with with different companies to bring the fans and the customers exactly what they want, that's where I'm going. I'm signing up for Flow Racing. I'm watching High Limit, and more companies. I think if they go with that, they will definitely. Hell, who knows? Maybe next year High Limit will be above World of Outlaws.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, I'm really, really, really curious what Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet do with that series and how far it goes.
You know what would be cool, Josh, is if because Kyle Larson with Hendrick,
Hmm.
if they bring a stock car type series to the dirt, something where it's kind of like pro stocks, but
Hmm.
kind of like the early 2000s style looking car. Larson is goat. That is good debate. I say Tony Stewart. Larson's not quite there yet, but that's a different subject for a different time. Um, yeah, the roster at High Limit is superior. Um, gosh, I can't remember what I was saying. I'm just rambling now.
It's all good.
But yes, Josh, I want to thank you for stopping by and helping me with this. This was the first one, and I want to do this more. I need ideas for topics, and I would like to have two, maybe three of us in here at a time.
Hmm.
Thing with me is if I talk too much, I start going all lightheaded because of my health issues. Chastain is the goat. He's the
Oh
Martins. He's
God.
the Martinsville goat.
Yes, he
I
is.
mean, nobody will. I don't see anybody ever topping that move, ever. Everybody will always remember watching that race and holy crap. But I need
Oh,
ideas. So if you're watching this and you have an idea, Lucas versus Wu late models, that would be a good one. If you have ideas of what you want the podcast to be about, put it down in the comments. If you would like to be a part of it, I got to get to know you a little bit first. I don't need anybody coming in here and being a jackwagon, dropping racial slurs and all that. You need to stay away. Rowdy Rooster 79 for
39 for
president.
president.
Well,
There we go.
I think I'll be president of this chair that I'm sitting in, and that will be good. Some Dale Earnhardt talk. Oh, I have to have my brother in here for that. Oh my gosh, my brother knows more about Dale Earnhardt than any person should that was not actually associated with Dale Earnhardt. Oh man, it's crazy how much he knows. But yes, I thank you all. I seen we had it's the other rooster. Oh, that's the other Dakota is the other rooster. Okay.
No, Cody Floss is the other rooster.
Oh, gotcha.
He's definitely one you got to have in here some of these times.
Hey, I mean, like I said, as long as there's no racial slurs, I'll have anybody in here, and as long as they have some knowledge and are respectable. But we are going to get off of here. My big old booty needs to get something to eat. I'm hungry. Josh, I cannot, honestly, thank you. Thank you so much for coming in here and doing this with me. There's no way I would have been able to do this alone. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming in. And I appreciate everything you do for the league. I've only been in there, what, 2 weeks? A week?
I believe what? When do you start? You start just before Wednesday, so I'm gonna say it's about a week. About a week. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but I mean those races that we had, they were so enjoyable. Last night running was enjoyable. It's hard to find leagues that you really enjoy. The Outlaws League, I love racing. Those are my boys. I love racing with those guys. It would be great to maybe once a month or something bring the two leagues together. Those guys over there are just phenomenally great guys. You guys, great guys and gals. So
Can't forget dirt. That's for sure.
can't forget dirt.
No, but I definitely do. Thanks for having me. It definitely was fun. Something different for sure. But yeah, no, I had a blast. Really, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You betcha. We'll probably end up racing tonight. So, thank you all for joining in. Put down in the comments what you would like for us to discuss next. If you want to be on here, go ahead and let me know. Get you on here, and appreciate y'all. We're stopping the broadcast now. Y'all have yourselves a great weekend. Appreciate y'all.